Hey folks, welcome back to JD Gaming and Design. Today I'm going to go over a how-to for Lorcana. I know there's been many videos of how to play this game, but I would also like to put my input into how the game plays and the like. You are classified as an Illumineer, and you use ink to bring your characters to life. And instead of normal games like Magic where there's summoning sickness and things like that, they say you can't use your characters on the turn they come in because the ink has not dried. I don't know how well you can see my background there is the printed rules for the game as of right now. And if you look carefully at the Mickey, you can see these lure counters. That's how you win the game. 20 lore points and you win. You do that by tapping your character to what they call quest, and that will give you points depending on how many pieces of ink are on their cards. Now, I don't know if this is allowed, but I'm going to do it anyways. All my cards were printed off my computer. I'm in many CCG groups, and a few people have stumbled upon the PDF file to print the demo decks, which are 40 cards. A normal deck will be 60 when they come out, if they come out. If you guys haven't kept up, Upper Deck is suing, I think his name is Rosenberg, for the game concept. I have not delved into the whole aspect of this lawsuit between Upper Deck and him for this Lorcana game, but a lot of people say it's nothing too serious that's going to cause the game to be canceled. But as of right now, there are a few dates where they will not show up at game conventions just to handle this matter. But I will give you a quick how-to video of this, and we'll go from there. Let's see if this deck has them in it. As you see, as I'm going through, cards are blurry. I apologize for my poor camera quality. Right away, you'll see two differences on these. One casting number is black. One casting number is, I say gold because it has the ink around it. That indicates you're allowed to put it in your inkwell, which you easily do. We do this. You have 7 cards to start your turn. Let's say this is 7. It's probably 8, less, whatever. Your hand. To play your ink, to basically play your cards, you pick one card in your deck, and you will turn it face down in your inkwell. Here you have 1 ink. If you have something you can play with the 1 ink, you will tap your ink to basically use your pen, and then you will cast or draw your character out to the field. Currently, you cannot use it. In other games, like I said here previously a couple minutes ago, is summoning sickness or the ink has not dried. You cannot use this card. On your next turn, you will be able to tap it or exhaust. It'll go on a quest. You will receive on him 1 lore counter. Some, like Maleficent here, when exhausted on her quest, will get 2 points towards your 20. If you decide not to quest and keep your characters upright, you may attack an exhausted character, but only an exhausted character. Why this is, I have no idea. It does not say in the rules, but you can only attack if your opponent's character is exhausted. And of course, damage like normal games, 3, 4, 3, 3. Even though your opponent's character is exhausted, it'll still do damage to your character you're attacking with. So in this case, Maleficent will survive with 1 damage on her, and Kristoff will die. The counters on Maleficent will stay until you either remove them from cards you play, or it gets hit one more time and she dies. Another event is songs. There's actions and songs. Got characters. Here's an action song, and here's just a regular action. So currently there's only 3 types of cards: characters, actions, and songs. Songs can be either cast from your inkwell or by a certain character. For instance, one jump ahead. A character with cost 2 or more can be exhausted to sing the song for free. If you don't want to take lure points from a character, you can tap them as long as they're strong enough by what your song says to pay for your song for free. That will leave you 2 ink for a further play in the turn. And then you do what it says for the action. Action cards, you pay the cost, you do what they say, and you discard them. There are some characters in here that do prevent the ability to sing songs. I might have to get in another deck here. Now there are numerous colors in our game. Here, let's take these down here. There are 6 colors. You got amber, amethyst, emerald, ruby, sapphire, and steel. Your decks can consist of 1 or 2 colors, or as they call ink. If they change that in the future, that's cool. If not, I feel like it hinders your ability to really construct a deck. These are 2 colors, and that's probably how I'll play. There's 2 colors. 2 colors gives you better options. Here, Ariel from a different deck, voiceless. She cannot be tapped for songs, so they keep true to Disney and their lore and all that backstory stuff on their movies and shows. In The Little Mermaid, Ariel becomes human from Ursula, but the ultimate price is she cannot talk, and they captured that in the card very well, and prevents you from singing. So that is pretty neat. So all in all, pretty much, if your card has gold around its casting cost, it indicates you can place your ink down, and that gives you ability to play your cards in the future. There are some cards that will allow you to automatically put cards into your ink. Oh, let me see if I can find that here. We talked about damage. We talked about characters doing the songs for you for free. May draw a card. Hurt people. What's this? Okay. So back to the point where Maleficent was at 3 damage and her life was only 4. Here's one, the Dingle Hopper. You may tap him and remove 1 damage from a chosen character. Like I said, there are ways to remove counters from your characters, and in the demo they show you one. You can hunt around, and there's plenty of places to find all the updated card features. Also, there is a site called Untap that people have painstakingly put this game into, so they could play test a whole bunch of deck ideas as everything is still being shown before it's released later this year. So that is very helpful. And if you want to get into this game, I highly recommend downloading or looking into Untap and giving Lorcana a try. It is a very fun game. Back to the Inkwell, and iconically enough, go back to a song. We'll jump ahead. Like I said, your character gets tapped. You can play a song for free. I don't know if you guys could read it because my camera's so crappy. Put the top card of your deck into your Inkwell face down and exerted. So, like it says, bring your card into play and the Inkwell tapped. There is a way to, as they say, ramp into mana or ink. So that is pretty neat. Yeah, so pretty much it's up to you if you want to quickly build your ink count to 20 or stand back and take out your opponent's bigger creatures or characters. So when you bring in your big ones, you can get the ink quicker. As of now, I don't think there's anything that disrupts the ink flow. So if you play and quest, you can't be stopped. There's a card in there that if your character goes on a quest, you can draw an additional card. In the rules, it explains the challenge or you attacking your exhausted opponents. Playing a card, I'll bring this down some. It tells you about the ink. When you tap it, it produces 1 ink. I don't know why they put the little symbol in. I guess to indicate the Inkwell, where you dap your pen into it. They do say that there's nothing stopping you from having multiple players in your game instead of 2. Says Lorcana is a fun 2-player game, but there's nothing stopping you from playing games of 3 or more players. The game rules remain the same, except that at the end of a player's turn, the player to their left takes the next turn. Whenever an ability requires more than 1 player to do something at the same time, start with the player whose turn it is, then proceed to the left until each affected player has done their action. So basically, if you play something that affects everybody, you start with the effect. And then it goes around the table instead of the other way around. Interesting enough. Ending a game. That one's a little harder to read because it's black with very faint white, or my printer. This had to be horrible to me. The first player to reach 20 lore or more wins. If your deck runs out of cards, you lose the next time you would have to draw a card. So, I guess there's an additional way. You collect 20 points, or basically, like most games, you run out of cards, you're done. And I guess that could be in the middle of your turn, too. So technically, you could run out of cards in the middle of your turn and technically still win because you haven't drawn your card yet. So that's pretty interesting. It says if you would draw a card. That's probably definitely going to get changed by the time this game is official. 7 cards is your opening hand. After your starting hand, if you choose to skip step of your first turn. What? Before the game begins, each player can alter their starting hand 1 time. Beginning with the first player. First player. Usually a player does this if they don't have. Okay, you can alter it by put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck without revealing them. Then draw cards until you get 7 cards. Finally reshuffle your deck. So you don't have to do a magic or MTG mulligan where you put all your cards away and then you shuffle, draw 7 more. This is, you can actually keep cards in your hand, take away a few, draw that many back, and then shuffle your deck. So you get to keep cards when you mulligan, and then you just draw up to 7 to start the game. That is it. I was going to do a turn playthrough, but yeah, you know what? Let's do that anyways. I'll shuffle my deck and do a quick board view. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you couldn't tell, my printer decided to hate me, so I had to pen write a couple numbers in. Let's say this is your starting hand. You go first. So of course, I'm going first. I still got a couple turns before I can play anything big, so I'm going to take my 5. I'm going to turn it upside down, and there's my ink for the turn. I have 1, so I will develop my brain. So I tap my 1 ink. I'm going to use my action. Do the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 into your hand and the 1 in the bottom. I'm going to put coconuts in my hand and Kristoff at the bottom. Then I'm going to pass it on to the next person. They're going to do their ink thingy. The rulebook says that you're supposed to show your opponent the card you're sticking in the inkwell to prove that it has the ink on it, which is kind of weird. So I would flash this to you to show you, hey, this has the ink. I'm going to put it in my inkwell. Oh, I missed a thing. An item. Items are a permanent that stay on the field like your characters. So I'm gonna play my item. I'm gonna tap my 2 inks. I'm gonna drain my pen, and I'm gonna play Coconut Basket. Whenever you play a character, you may remove up to 2 damage from chosen character. So another benefit of removing damage from your characters. And then I'd pass turn and we'd keep going. Captain Hook has Challenger +2. When challenging this character, it gets +2. So when you're attacking, this is going to get an extra 2 power to fight. So that helps with the big boys. Let's see if I got a big boy in here. Now, here we go. Maleficent and Beast. Giving Captain Hook 2 extra power. That's 3. That's almost taking them out in full swing. So, there was a brief 2 or 3 card turn. The showing your opponent your card to put in your inkwell is kind of weird. But you'd show them the card, show them the ink, put it in your inkwell, and then tap it like a resource to use it and play your cards, your items, your actions, your songs, and your characters. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the description. Leave them down in the comments, sorry. And I will definitely answer the best I can.